basically today's session, what we are expecting from you all is how you are going to, we as an optometrist, we are most of the patient, they come to us for the refractive management, right? So then what happens? We have now, there are different way of management. Last week we discussed about a non-surgical management of myopia. Not only non-surgical management of myopia, non-surgical management of hyperopia, non-surgical management of astigmatism we will also discuss. But this is overall for all myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, everything. So that how the surgical management take place, right? So hope today lesson will give you an idea. So what we should know about refractive management, and so then how we will be, right? So how we will suggest it, we or advise patients what kind of a refractive management patient should go, right? Right, right. So that we have to understand. So basically, this is what we are trying to see, right? And then there will be like sort of you can conclude that patient is suitable for further refractive, what kind of a refractive management, right? So before they end up with other problems or complications, and so patient will come to you asking whether LASIK is good, whether other refractive methods are good. So then you should be able, as an optometrist, you should be able to answer those people's questions. So that is what is the ultimate intention. So hopefully this lesson we will try to finish in 2 sessions, but if not, then we have to go to 3 sessions. Hopefully 2 sessions we can finish it, right? So basically what happens, refractive surgery, we divide into 3 parts. One is keratorefractive surgery, so we all know that. So refractive surgery is not, good or contraindicated for the axial emmetropia, like axial myopia, axial hyperopia condition. We should not suggest, right? We should not suggest contact lenses. We should not suggest, refractive surgery. So this is mainly for the refractive myopia or refractive hyperopia or refractive related, astigmatism, and then presbyopia condition. This will work, right? So then because of mainly in refractive surgery, what we are playing with is either with the cornea or with the lens, right? So these are the 2 refractive mediums that we play with, and by doing some alteration on cornea, or by doing some alteration on the lens, we will be managing, we are doing this, right? So because of that, what happens? So you have to be very clear. Cornea, as you know, already know, cornea has the highest refractive power, and altering certain thing on that, we can gain, our refractive management. So other thing is now additional, we can place the lenses inside the eye, right? And then we can alter the lenses positions inside the eye. By doing that, we can improve the, we can correct the refractive condition. So instead of putting contact lenses from outside, or the spectacle from outside, we can place the lens inside the eye, so that we call as a phakic while patient is having a natural lens. So we are adding one more lens, right? And so which is very popular in Sri Lanka also. It has been done for a long time. I have been associated with them. So clear lens extraction is other sort of thing where high myop condition and those things, we can remove the existing lens, right? And then, right, so or even for a, this thing, we can, so that we can replace like a cataract surgery, we can do, right? So you remove and related lens you put. So basically, this is what you have to understand. Are you clear about this, what I'm telling?
Yes, sir.
Clear the line, right? So then basically again, yeah.
So piggy lens එකද ඔය කියන්නේ? සර් කිව්වේ දැන් piggy lens එක ගැනද?
Piggy lens කියලා නම අපි ඒකට phakic IOL කියලා කියන්නේ. Piggy lens එකක් නෑ. Piggy lens කියලා කියන්නේ අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම contact lens එකේ piggy bag use කරනවා, contact lens, soft contact lens වල RGB lens. ඔව් ඒක contact lens එකේ. මේක IOL surgery වලට තමයි. other non-surgical තමයි surgical කතා කරන්නේ යන්නේ. And then piggy bag is done in contact lenses. අපි soft contact lens උඩ RGB lens එක දානවා for the comfort, right, for the centration part. right, ඒක piggy bag. මේකදී අපි intraocular lens එකම අපි මේක දානවා antechamber එකේ නැත්නම් sulcus එකේ දානවා, and that we'll discuss about that කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා. Right? So basically what happens, refractive surgeries, you can see cornea base, RK is there, PRK is there, LASIK is there, EP LASIK is there, LASIK is there, conducive keratoplasty is there, limbal incisions are there, corneal rings are there, right? So there are different things. Now, when that comes to lens, again, you have a clear lens extraction, as I told you, like a cataract you consider and calculate and put the proper lens that patient can see, patient can see plano 6x6. So our phakic IOL lenses are there, right? And then you have a multifocal IOL lenses are there, different, accommodative IOL lenses are there, right? So those lenses can be used, right? To, in a lens base, right? And otherwise, again, you do the combination between these two, right? Okay. So we will be discussing on this, so RK and this condition, keratoplasty, these are no more very much popular now. PRK, LASIK, these are LASIKs are more popular. And so we will be discussing on that. And clear lens extraction, and then, the phakic IOL is very popular. Multifocal is there, but, because of contrast issues, I think it is very much disused. And both of these combination being done, right? So if you have any question in between, you can disturb me and ask. There is no issue, right? So, right. Otherwise, I will consider you have understood, and I will go on. Okay. So when it comes to kerato refractive surgical procedure, what happens? Some surgical procedure that take place even only in the surface, right? Only in the surface, right? Like PRK, LASIK, AP LASIK, and sort of a right? This what you call conducive keratoplasty. These things are done on a superficial part, epithelial, superficial part of the stroma, not in a deep layer. So intrastromal, so not in a superficial, in a middle stromal layer that happens, if you take about like LASIK, right? And then say laminokeratoplasty, right? And these things are intrastromal rings, right? Inlays or intact will be placed. And peripheral, where, what happens, especially when that comes to like radial keratomy, right? And, conducive keratomy and those sort of conditions where the peripheral will be used. Now, peripheral in certain states, there are basically we see even peripheral condition. We see like very minor astigmatism, right? To manage and those sort of thing. Also, you will be seeing the methods on refractive management, right? Okay. So are you clear what I'm trying to tell? When that comes to cornea, some of the methods that is used on a superficial layer, some of the method that is used on a stromal layer, and some of the method that is used in a peripheral layer. So any methods that cannot cross, generally it won't cross the Descemet membrane, right? Descemet membrane should not touch. So because of underneath that endothelium layer is there, so that will damage, that becomes a problem, right? So all these things are, different methods and different places, which we will in detail, I suppose, we will be discussing, not in today's session, so most of the next session, this detail will be discussed. That's why I told you 2 sessions will be there. Today, if we can cover today's session within 1 year, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, I will be very much grateful. Right? Today's session, if you understood, next session will be very much, this thing. So because I want you to do.
Sir, mute.
Right. Sorry. So I was in a mute now. So then what happens? Basically what happens now, what I was telling you is now, you can see this slide, right?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. So now what happens? Now you guys have, what we all have to understand is, different refractive surgeries that which is taking place, we should know what are the pros and cons of that and where and how that take place, right? So that we have to be very clear. So because of that, what happens now when patient comes and talk to us, we should be able to explain, right? And we should know who is suitable for what. So this will be discussed in next session. But today, definitely, today's session, if we can cover in 1.5 hours of time, that will be great. So hope, if there is any question in between, you can stop and ask me, right? There is no issue. So basically what happens now, we have already discussed about this topography matters. Right, so one instrument that we require for this refractive surgery will be topography, and this topography, so we have different. We have done, I suppose, all of you have done the presentation on topography, right? And topography, especially what happens, we have 2 types of topography. One is reflection-based topography, like a Placido disc, we reflect and we can see the front surface of the cornea. Changes on the front surface, we cannot see on the back surface of the cornea. In refractive surgery, we need even the back surface, because not only front surface will influence on the refractive condition. So because of that, what happens? We need back surface also. So because of that, what happens? The projection-based topography is required to deal with, you know, this refractive surgery, right? So the topography godak thang olda tiyene monada reflection based. Front surface ke bitra balan pulang. Front surface ke mana changes tino antam balan pulang. Back surface ke cornea ke back surface ke tine change ke balan back. Back surface ke cornea ke change ke balan na apita projection based topography hone can scan karana can light ka athletic gila infrared light ka athletic gila balan pulang ke ka pen hone. So because of what happens, projection based topography na tu apita we cannot deal with refractive, you know, right, surgery management. Okay, so because of we should know what is the corneal thickness, what is the corneal back surface cornea, what is the condition of the back surface cornea too, right? Okay. So we all know that, you know, so in a refractive surgery, if you are going to, you know, change the size of the thickness of the cornea or the shape of the cornea, definitely the thickness of the cornea will matter. And then measuring the thickness of the cornea could be done with phakimetry, so that you all know that, right? And there is certain amount of, you know, certain thickness, it doesn't take place, and there will be a problem, right? So we will be discussing on that. So these are some of the different methods. Now, if you see here, this is, you know, you can see this white spot where it has been conducive method. Other one, you know, you can see here the astigmatism, which has been balanced, you know, by doing a cut and a cornea in a place where it is stiff, right? And then what happens, you can see down, you can see the, you know, white lines, right? Those are radial keratotomy, right? And then you can see the limbal relaxation incision. Still today also it is very much popular. This, you know, to balance the basic, you know, right? So a small amount of astigmatism could be easily managed. Now, these things are, you know, the base, you know, very quick resulting, you know, kind of a refractive management. But whereas like now, if you see these conducive methods or the, you know, this what you call RK, and those things are not done now anymore, right? So if you see here, what I show, you know, now if you see in a picture here, right? So you can see this small ring, half ring, which you can insert into the stromal layer of the cornea and flatten the cornea, which is widely used for the keratoconus patient, as well as for the mild, you know, myopic patient. This could be used, and this is, you know, anytime you can remove also. If it is there is a complication, you can remove it, right? And down picture, you can see it's a external expansion, you know, external expansion band being placed. We all know that Sachs theory explains that lens is not hard, not due to the lens. Actually, the expansion place is not there. So due to that, accommodation is not taking place. And this is, you know, Sachs theories, you know, this, what you call the scleral expansion being done, right? So if you have any sort of a doubt on those sort of thing, you know, you can discuss. We can rediscuss on those matters. And if I consider that Sachs theory, you know, and accommodation theory, there are two major theories. One is, you know, there are 7 theories. Out of that, major 2 theories, that is we call as a, one is Hemlo's theory, where we tell the patient that lens get hard, because of that only we get this Hathelsindri problem. And second theory, you know, that is opposite theory, which is we, you know, so opposite to that, Sachs introduced, no, not the lens doesn't get hard significantly, because the lens is growing whole life. So because of that, there is no place to expand. So if you put you know, if you have an expansion on those area, so space comes, then there will be a accommodation take place, which he showed, and there was an expansion. So these are some of the, you know, some of the refractive management being done in this way also, right? So if I'm too fast, let me know, right? And if you have any questions also, let me know, right? Okay.
Okay.
Is this speed is okay or it's too fast?
It's okay.
Little bit fast.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So then what happens? Where you know, wherever you feel this one is a little bit, you know, you want to clear more, just let me know, right? So that I can, you know, take time and, you know, discuss. Otherwise, you know, if it is, you know, you already know, then no point of, you know, again and again repeating those things, right? So corneal response to heat, if you see why these things are very much possible, because the cornea has a different, you know, ways of responding to the heat. If it is 55 to 58 degrees centigrade, cornea gets shrink, right? Corneal collagen fibers, the stromal collagen fibers get shrink. If 65 to 78 degrees centigrade, temperature if you give, then collagens are relaxing, inside getting expanded, right? Then what happens if it is more than 78 degrees centigrade, then collagens necrosis, the collagen start to die, right? So this is what is being used on, this, LASIK or LASIK or other refractive method. These heats are used to, manage to, expand or relax the cornea, right? So which we will, as I told you before also, in a different refractive method, we will be discussing about prone and cones and their, way method, right? And then that time this will be very useful, right? So very first we'll come to, this is what is why to use excimer laser method, right? Excimer laser method. In excimer laser, what happens? They use especially argon and Hilon, and then so those lasers, and laser in ophthalmology is a different subject again. And this photorefractive keratotomy is also today also after LASIK. This is widely used, right? Widely used method, and this does not need a very special instruments, right? And then does not need to cut the flap and replace the flap hole, and those complications are less. And this, what happens, they put a alcohol and remove the superficial part of the epithelium or a Bowman's membrane, and then on top of that do the laser, right? Do the laser, and this is quite very cost effective, very this thing. But there are also, as I told you, there are pluses also, minuses also, so which we will discuss. So remember this photorefractive keratotomy, which is superficial part, not deep, not stromal. This is done in a superficial part, right? Superficial layer, right? Superficial layer. This has been done. So this is LASIK. Can you see the LASIK? Now, if you see this microkeratomy blade being placed, suction ring is placed. When you put this suction ring and microkeratomy blade to cut the cornea, your intraocular pressure has to go above 65 millimeter mercury. So that means the eye will have 65 millimeter mercury means, that point of time, patient will be completely blind, right? So your blood circulation will be completely stopped, right? And there is a high possibility patient can have other complications also, right? So that risk is there. So longer the suction ring being kept, there will be more the complication will take place, right? Now, if you see this, these are, then with the microkeratomy blade, when you put the suction ring like this, I will take you into detail how these laser surgeries are done. And then last time, some of I have share you these videos, and you can see the videos and get some more ideas on that, right? Basically what happens, this is first, you are removing the flap, right? Removing the flap up to the stromal, some amount of stroma also you are removing. Then after what happens, then you have to do the laser. So you have to make sure. Now in later part, we will be calculating what should be the thickness of this flap, what should be the size of this flap, right? And what should be the thickness of the bed, the remaining the bed should be after, so when you do laser, how much, cornea should be left behind. So that is what is most important in calculation, right? So this is what we are going to discuss. Okay. So this is phakic IOL, right? Now, probably this is what we are talking about. Phakic IOL, you can place in antechamber, right? And you can place in a, sulcus, you can pay, you can place, right, in the base, but most of the time I have seen Dr. Makula and Dr. Waripul, I have worked with them for this phakic IOL. They did for a antechamber. So they were asking us white to white measurement and then doing this. So how to do this and how this is been calculated, we can discuss, right? And this is one method of phakic IOL, which is for high myopia, very, very perfect measurement, right? And whom this is suitable, we will discuss about, right?
Right.
So when it is come to patient selection for LASIK, especially for LASIK, right? LASIK. So averagely patient's age should be about 20 years, right? And last year and this year, prescription should be stable. There should not be any change. So FDA approves about for myopia up to -11, hyperopia up to +6, and astigmatism up to astigmatism up to 6 diopter. Some says 4 diopter, some says 6 diopter. So this varies. Some of the time myopia that goes up to 15 also. Some of the people, some of them have done. I have seen the articles that they have done for 7, 8 diopter also hyperopia. So that differs, but generally this is what is the value being accepted, right? So if it is somebody who is having more than -11, generally it should not be suggested for LASIK. Hyperopia more than 6 or astigmatism more than 6 should not be suggested for LASIK surgeries, right? So when it comes to, yes.
So ඒ parameters ඔක්කොම වෙනස් වෙනානේ මේ cornea thickness එකත් එක්ක.
Yeah, වෙනස් වෙනවා. අපි පස්සේ ඩිස්කස් කරනකොට තේරෙනවා කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියන එක. We'll discuss, right?
තනෝජගේ -450 මේ ස්පෙරික මේ සිලින්ඩර් එකක් තියෙන්නේ. එයාට කරන්න බෑ කියලා කිව්වා LASIK එක.
ඒක depend වෙන්නේ අද අපි we will today and we will discuss how this 450 cylinder plano -450 cylinder එයාගේ තිබුණ 180 පැත්තේනේ. හරිද?
ඔව් 160.
ඒක ඇබ්ලේට් කරන්නේ කොතනද කියන එකක් we will discuss, right? So according to that ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන් ද බැරිද කියන එකක් according to her corneal thickness, according to her curvature and mono curvature තියෙනවනේ, mono thickness එක තියෙනවනේ, කොහොමද bed එක තියෙනවනේ කියන එකක් and we can discuss and we know Tanuja can do LASIK or you know or a PRK for what she is suitable for. Then you can tell Tanuja to do that. Right. Central corneal thickness, you know, actually it should be left. Some people they say 270 microns is also enough, but averagely central corneal thickness should be left after, you know, left, right? So the after the you know, this thing should be, you know, left in a sense. You remove the flap and rest should be at least 300 microns, right? Remove the flap and then flap should be at least they say, you know, not below 100. Thicker the flap it is better, but not very thick flap also it's good because of, you know, they normally says about 100 to 127 microns flap is more better. 100 to 127 microns flaps are more better, right? And after doing the you know, the LASIK surgery, you know, when you put back that flap back, so total thickness should not be less than 400 microns. Total thickness should not be less than 400 microns, right? Okay, so then what happens if it is somebody who has K rating of less than 41 or more than 47 should be avoided, right, for the LASIK surgery, right? And people who are going for LASIK, most of them, they are already in contact lenses. If they are using RGB contact lenses, they should avoid contact lens for 3 to 4 weeks, and soft contact lens should be avoided for 2 weeks before the test. So whether they are good for the LASIK or not, to see at least they have to RGB contact lenses that has to remove for 3 to 4 weeks, and soft contact lens should be removed for 2 weeks, right? Are you clear about this?
Yeah.
Right. So then 5 more important. This is what these are the parameters. These are the parameters that we are going to discuss today. So when we go for a, you know, not only LASIK, you know, for all refractive surgeries, these are the very important parameters, right? One thing is refractive error. What kind of refractive error it is? Whether it is myopic, what degree of myopia, right? Hyperopia, what degree of hyperopia? Astigmatism, what degree of astigmatism? Presbyopia, what degree of presbyopia? Then mesopic people, some people they say scotopic people, where in a dark room you see how big pupil becomes, right? And then, but the most of, you know, what I do believe is mesopic people will be more better idea than this thing, because of if you dilate the pupil, sometimes it goes, you know, this thing, because of mesopic pupil is very important, because pupil is very important. How big the flap will be, how big you are going to cut the flap, you know, so that